What's going on, guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital. We're here with Matt Stang, founder and CEO of Delic Corp. Nice to have you back, Matt. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So can you start by giving us an update regarding, what you've been up to at Delic since we last spoke? I know we've got a lot of news for this interview.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of news. We've closed a couple of deals. We're really pushing forward. So yeah, we've closed on a company called CBDV, the lab business, and we've changed the name. So now we've launched Delic Labs, the world's first full stack psychedelic labs business in Canada. And we just closed today KIC, the ketamine infusion centers with the clinics in California and Arizona. So we now have a chain of psychedelic wellness centers for people to come and get well. We've also announced the headliners and speakers at Meet Delic, the world's largest psychedelic wellness conference, which is happening November 6th and 7th in Las Vegas at a place called Area 15, which is probably the coolest venue I've ever been to. Mm-hmm. It's a gigantic, a friend called it a Burning Man mall. So it's 200,000 plus square feet of insane, immersive, beautiful art. This incredible art collective built a 60,000 square foot Meow Wolf exhibit where you can go through and touch, and takes 8 hours and sold out most days. Amazing. So I think people are going to be really excited about all the stuff we're doing.
Yeah, wow, that sounds like an amazing venue. So let's, talk about the topic of ketamine infusion centers. Can you tell us what this means for the Delic platform?
Yeah, sure. So, I think this is the start of us being the largest chain of psychedelic wellness centers in America. So you'll see over the next months as we expand, we'll be the go-to for people to get psychedelic wellness, right? And I think we've really tried to build a very interesting pinwheel where people can go to our website, Reality Sandwich, and discover more about psychedelic wellness. They can come to our event, Meet Delic, and really feel, touch, and learn, and then they can end their customer journey at our clinics and really have an opportunity to get well, right? And I think it's just such an important facet right now, coming out of the pandemic with all of these people traumatized, dealing with all of their issues. And ketamine is the only legal psychedelic available for folks at a clinical level right now. And I think that's super important. And, we see this being a huge growth avenue, and really, we plan to have a lot of these clinics across the country in the next 6-12 months, and you're going to see that from us. And it'll be a place for people to come and know that they can get safe and effective treatment in a way that is sensitive to people's needs and really helps them get better. And so I think, ketamine infusion centers and Delic, that's the beginning of the largest chain of ketamine clinics in America. And you'll hear it over and over again from us as we expand, as we roll them out. And I think it's just a great way to help people get better.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to cover it. So Delic Labs announced a partnership agreement with Agilent Technologies. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, for sure. So Agilent is one of the largest manufacturers of lab technology in the world. And so they've come to us as a leader in the space to help them show off their best-in-class technology. So I think it's just a huge vote of confidence for our team, for the work we're doing, and showing that we can work with best-in-class companies across the space who develop the best technology, because having the best technology in the lab setting allows us to do the best work. And I think that's a really important facet of what we're doing.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. So Delic recently announced Meet Delic, the premier psychedelic and wellness edutainment event and expo for newcomers and veteran psychonauts, along with announcing their initial speaker lineup. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, of course. We call it an education and educational event, but it's also edutainment, as you said, right? Because we're giving people an opportunity to both learn, but also have a lot of fun. So we have a range of speakers. Jason Silva, who's the host of a TV show on Nat Geo. We have Duncan Trussell, who just had a hit show on Netflix 6 months ago and has a very world famous podcast, and great friends with Joe Rogan. We have Aubrey Marcus, founder of one of the top supplement and wellness companies in the world, on it. Just on and on and on, people from across the spectrum. And the space itself is incredible. As I said, it's this immersive experiential space that was built for people to come kind of experience psychedelics in a way that doesn't require any actual psychedelics. It's just the whole space is built in a incredibly trippy, beautiful, artistic way. And so we have, easily 50, 60 speakers across all disciplines. So wellness, health, science, business, people who are, doing this as, businesses. We have the founders of Compass Pathways, the folks who are rolling out psilocybin as an FDA compliant drug in the next year or so. We have people across this world of psychedelic wellness, as we like to call it, coming. And really, it's about the experience. It's about the connections. It's about being in person for the first time in a year and a half. With COVID, it's doing it in a place like Las Vegas, where it's incredibly easy and cheap to get to and stay at. It's a world-class hub, right? And so there's flights from everywhere to Las Vegas, because the whole business model depends on people coming from around the country and maybe the world by the time this event happens. And so we just think there's a huge opportunity to bring together all of the nascent parts of this psychedelic revolution in one space, and give people, a kind of kick in the pants, right? And get all of these things moving. And as the centerpiece of it, as Delic is the place that it all comes together, it helps once again build this ecosystem that we've been talking about, right? And it pulls people all around the world to this one space, with Delic over the top of it, and allows us to be at the center of the world of psychedelic wellness again. So that's really what we see here, and I think it's a great opportunity, and it's going to be a ton of fun for people who come to learn more and really interact with and talk to these people. And everybody, they're all doing meet and greets with folks who come. So if you come, you get to meet all of these interesting folks and talk to them more and pick their brains about what's happening in the world of science, business, entertainment, comedy, all of these different things.
Yeah, that will be very exciting. And I think that this is what the psychedelic sector needs. It definitely needs education. It's new to a lot of people, and also, your background with High Times, I think it really complements your business. So excited to cover it. So CBDV recently rebranded as Delic Labs, cementing its place into the Delic ecosystem. I know we talked a little bit about this so far, but anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you'll see from Delic Labs in the future is just a laser-like focus on really doing great work, great science, as we talked about with the Agilent deal. We have the best-in-class technology, and the plan is to really work with other companies in the psychedelic space. So we're doing some great stuff on testing and knowledge research, outsourced research work for some of these big companies who are doing drug discovery and testing to make sure that what they're creating in their drug discovery labs is safe and proper. And we also are working on our own IP development, so looking at vaporization and consumer packaged goods as some of these states like Oregon go into a therapeutic model where they're allowing packaged goods to be sold outside of the FDA framework. We think there's going to be a whole nother clinical model that is a therapeutic clinical model outside of FDA. So we're really working inside of Delic Labs to build some great intellectual property and product lines that we can then launch out into some of these places that allow for it. So Oregon first, and then we think California, Colorado, some of these other states are going to embrace similar or even more expansive versions of therapeutic use. So that's really it. We think being at the forefront with a company that's profitable, growing, and really helps change that dynamic. And, you know, we have incredible people there. Marcus Rogan, Dr. Marcus Rogan, who is the founder and chief scientist, really does amazing work and has really led the way in cannabis and hemp research, and is really doing the same with psilocybin. And I think we're going to be looking at other entheogenic plants as well. So it should be really interesting.
Definitely. So when it comes to Delic, there are multiple facets to your business. If you had to pick one, which aspect are you most excited about and why?
It's a great question. I think, you know, for the purpose of this conversation, I think we closed the clinic business. I really think that's going to be a huge driver on a growth perspective. And I think, you know, we should, within the next year, we will be the largest ketamine clinic chain in America. And then from that, you know, that same, call it, infrastructure will allow us to service people with other novel psychedelic compounds that come online. So psilocybin, like I said, you know, the founders of Compass are coming to our event in November. That I think will be ready sometime in 2022. And I think the same with MDMA. So you have two new novel compounds that will need clinical footprints for people to go and do them. And we'll have a very large national platform of clinics for people to right now do ketamine, because that's what's available. And then in the near term, do other novel psychedelic compounds. So that's probably the most exciting. It has the most room for growth. It has a really great business model. It is profitable. It is growing. And, you know, using our ecosystem of events, media, email chain, all of the things that we do really well right now will allow us to really increase the number of people we can pull to each of these clinics as we get more and more of them.
Definitely. It's going to be a very exciting year for you guys. So are there any catalysts on the horizon, like for the psychedelic sector in general, that you feel investors should focus on or look out for?
A great question. Yeah, I you know, like we were just talking about, I think that there are both the state kind of call it voter initiative type stuff, like what happened in Oregon and what is likely to happen in California and some other states as well. So those will be interesting catalysts. You know, there's a bill making its way through the assembly in California that is looking to decriminalize both the possession and social sharing of entheogenic plants, meaning that you'll be able to have and also give to other people. That's a big step. I think that will pave the way for probably a voter initiative to allow for a legal framework here in California, which is very interesting. I think the novel compounds, there's, you know, as I said, there's two that are in phase 3 right now. There's MDMA and psilocybin. There's probably another 20 in phase 2. LSD is doing fairly well for MindMed. So I think, you know, this stuff takes a while, right? So like FDA is slow. FDA is always going to be slow. It's for a good reason. They want to sort out all the safety protocols. They don't want people to have major issues that they didn't think about. So it's going to take a little time. But I think once that pipeline starts filling up with novel compounds, there will be a ton behind them as well, because there's been, you know, in the last 3 years or so, there's been a bunch of stuff. So that puts it around phase 2 clinical. So that stuff's maybe 2 or 3 years down the line from getting pushed through FDA. But what it means is there's just going to be, after psilocybin and MDMA, then there's 20, 30 other novel compounds coming behind it. So I really do think the catalysts are many. And I just think that the mental health crisis that's happening with there's no real solution, right? There's no,
exactly.
You know, you walk on the street here in LA, you walk in Venice, and there's hundreds of homeless people who have mental health disorders who have never been treated and can't be treated. There's millions of people going through depression and anxiety after this pandemic, and there's nothing really good out there to treat it. And you have these substances that have 50, 60, 70, 80% efficacy for anxiety, for treatment-resistant depression, for trauma, for, you know, all of these things that are base cases for a lot of the issues plaguing America and Americans with mental health issues. I just see it changing how people both act, interact, and also, you know, a lot of the stigma around mental health is if you tell people and there's no real treatment, then you're just branded as someone who's stuck being crazy or whatever the word whatever the negative connotation you want to use. And since there's no treatment, since you're not getting better, you're just always that, right? But if you have a substance that gives you 70-80% efficacy, then you can very easily talk about you were depressed, or you did have PTSD, or you did have treatment-resistant depression, or you did have a mood disorder, an anxiety disorder, and now you found ketamine, you found psilocybin, you found MDMA, you found LSD, and you've gone through the treatment program, and you've gone through the protocol, and you're now a more whole, holistically full, real, happy, present person. And the issues that you had are in the past, and you now have a pathway when they come back up again to get through them. And so now you can feel more comfortable talking about them. It's not a scarlet letter that's on you forever. It's just, it's part of you, but it's something that there is a pathway to getting better. And I think that's such an important thing when you look at how stigmatized mental health has been. And so I really think that's a huge development, and that's been part of what's driving our traffic for our website, for people looking for information. That's part of what's driving people to our event. And I think that's what's going to drive people to our clinics as well, is just, you know, knowing that there is a pathway to getting better, not just to being stuck in neutral and having to hide the fact that you're somehow abnormal, right? And so I think it's super important.
No, I think that's great. So where's the best place for investors to find out more information about Delic?
So I would say Delic Corp has, you know, the overview, broad overview. Reality Sandwich is a great place to just find out information on what we're talking about and what the, you know, the platform is doing. Meet Delic if you want to come and meet us in person. And then, you know, you can go to Delic Labs and KIC to see the operating businesses and what they do. So we have a bunch going on, but Delic Corp is a great place to start, deliccorp.com. And if you want to look at the shares, it's DELC or DELCF if you're in the American market. And, you know, we'd love to have you be a part of this revolution.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for all the updates, Matt, and I look forward to having you back on. I'm sure we'll have many more videos.
For sure. Thank you so much, Aaron.
All right, guys, that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. I just wanted to say, if you do support me, the channel, and all these videos, then kindly smash that like button along with hitting the subscribe button and the bell for notifications for future videos. I did also want to say, check the disclaimer down below. This video was sponsored by the company that we are talking about today. So check the disclaimer, full disclosure, and we're out of here. Always remember, guys, Departures Capital is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. Don't buy or sell a stock because you heard it on here. Buy or sell a stock because you've done your research, you've done your thorough due diligence, and you're making your own personal investment decisions for yourself. This video is not financial advice. We'll see you guys in our next video.